We're here. Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. And as you can see, we have Andre with us today for Inquiring Minds.
Hi, everyone.
Usually on Inquiring Minds, we're just diving into current topics and, reading on what's going on. But hey, we're combining it with your expertise today, so that'll be fun. And as everybody pops in, for those of you who don't know Andre, he has a channel. And if you want to tell us a little bit about you and your channel and what you offer, if people want to get a hold of you. In fact, I did a personal reading with someone today, and they said that you did their chart, that you read for them and did their chart and so forth. And it was amazing. That you're amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, the channel.
You're like, yes.
The channel is Astrology Alert, and most of it is politics because I started in 2020, just before the pandemic, and then things became really heated. If you remember, that year was super intense, and then it carried forth into the following year. And I have to admit, I didn't think that Trump would still be here today and so forth. There was this possible expectation that things would cool off. They didn't. So then the politics continued. So most of it is politics, but there are some other things in there as well. I do collaborations with one of my sisters on archetypes related to astrology. So they're, still using a lot of astrological language, and a number of other things that aren't quite all politics, but the bulk of it is politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do consultations. You can find how to get to me on where it says About. If you go on my channel and click the About link, that's how you do it.
Connect you right to setting up your own personal time with Andre as you figure out your chart together.
Yeah.
I love it.
The only thing I would add would be that in consultation, my approach is my real approach, in that, in quotes, is something I've always understood astrology to be, which is that people always assume astrology is predictive. It is. It predicts cycles. But it's actually more proactive than predictive, meaning a lot of what happens to us, 80% or more, it's what we're doing coming back to us through the cycles. So once you know what your cycles are, the key is to know what to do with those cycles, as well as get better and better at doing your chart, so you get better and better results. I mean, because if you're expecting your fate, in quotes, to save you, you'll be waiting a long time, usually. So that's the approach when I read the chart.
And I feel like, we can change our stars, can't we? If we have an idea of, okay, so here's the alignment right now. Here's the energy that's going to be either challenging us or offering us some strength here. If we utilize it correctly and if we understand it correctly, can't we?
Yes. So it's not like you change your stars. What you're doing is, well, I guess in a way you are. Yeah. So it's the logic that you are changing the way you express something in your chart. And this is not made up. It's 100% real, where you can, for example, discover how something that in your life at a previous time had some connections to people manipulating you in some way, taking advantage of you, overpowering you. And then you discover that source of power in yourself, and that problem disappears. And now you notice that the power is turned inward, so that now you're able to manage yourself better, and things in your life literally change. You get a different outcome. And yet it's the same chart. So you've changed something, right? And brought it into change. Yeah, that's the logic.
I love that. And so to the family here, you can change your stars in that way, using it to empower you. Now, do you read Western or Vedic?
Western. I read tropical Western, which is, using the seasons. I am aware of Vedic, and I use a number of their rules this has been the story of my life, that with anything I studied a lot of, spiritual paths, religions. There is no one thing that covers all the ground. It's
Right.
basically, in a way, maybe the best examples of the truth would be something in Buddhism where they say you have to find your own way, right? Because if you try to follow one specific thing too much, there might be some problems. And the same,
Right. You're creating those boxes that we're trying to break everyone out of, because
yeah,
then your whole you're not open to. We're humans. We're
mhm,
spirit beings having a human experience. We're like this big compared to what really is happening, and we have these little insights that help us along the way. And like the astrology piece is huge, that we get
mhm,
this assistance, this little tiny assistance, but know that it's so much bigger than what we even know.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Mhm,
Now, before we dive into all the fun things that are like the craziness of politics and what's happening there with everybody, October's a big month. We
yeah,
have some stuff happening in our skies,
yeah.
including meteor showers and eclipses and full moon, and also just October in general the veil seems to be thinner anyway. Um, Can you help us prepare the best we can with what we need to be looking for and how we can kind of honor our own charts during this time?
Well, if you're looking at just the sky as a whole, then yeah, there is an eclipse, but eclipses happen fairly frequently. The thing of eclipses is that they tend to affect the people whose degrees get affected more by that particular eclipse. So one case in point of someone who, for this eclipse is quite hard, is the ex-president, because it's right, attacking the most vulnerable
Okay.
area. But you already see it's even before the eclipse. The eclipse happens. It's not here. I think it's later in October, but it's building in that direction. So it's already signaling you're in trouble. You have
It's
problems.
already throwing out the signal.
Right, right. But then in individual charts, people can be more or less affected by that eclipse. It's in Libra, 21 degrees, depending on if you have planets in.
It's in Libra, 21 degrees.
Yeah, 21 degrees, if I recall correctly. I can check it quickly here, but I think it's 21 degrees. And then there's another eclipse, lunar eclipse later in the month in Taurus, but the one to focus on for now is the solar eclipse in in Libra. And so let me see 1 second here. It is, yeah, 21 degrees Libra. That's October 14th. And then there's a lunar in Taurus
Okay.
at 5 degrees. So that one is early in Taurus, 5 degrees Taurus. So this is where, with astrology, if you're serious at all, you have to track the numerical value of your planets, or you don't know what to make of these things. When you hear
Right. It's just like,
eclipse or whatever.
okay,
So if you happen to be in that range of Libra, but also Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, the four signs that either the eclipse cuts across one way or the other. So those four areas, and doesn't have to be the exact degree. You could count 2 or 3 degrees on either side, and it'll tend to affect you. And then the same thing will happen with Taurus as well. But really, I think the more important thing this month is there's a Pluto station that we're building toward, which is it's in Capricorn, and it's, as you can see, it's throwing the American government into turmoil because it's very close to the position of the Pluto return, for one. For another, there's an opposition at birth of the country there as well. And this thing where there's this question mark, can these guys even get the speaker so they can get the House going back again? I mean, the whole thing right now is like a big question mark. And so you said earlier, when you said we're human, the thought that popped into my mind is, yeah, except the people that are in the House of Representatives representing the Republican Party, because it's a pretty scary bunch. That group of people,
uh,
it is scary the way they reason. Instead of reasoning for the whole population, they reason for themselves. It's the idea that I can just say crazy things, I can raise money because my constituents are as crazy as I am. Usually that's how it happens.
It's
And then,
terrifying that these people are running our country. I just,
yeah.
how did they even get there?
So by the way, though, for the personal, it would be that when Pluto is stationing, Pluto is a planet that tries to change and transform. So given that that's the planet there that is really thick this month, and then on top of that, when we go into November, right at the beginning of November, there's a Saturn station. So now you have Pluto and Saturn in the vicinity of each other in strong, strong positions. This is for people who can hear the message, they tune into the cosmic energy. It's a great time to ask yourself, what can I change in my life? And typically focusing just on your own mind and body is the easiest place to work, because other times it can be, okay, I can change. I can, I don't know, return more phone calls or return more emails, whatever, some kind of thing. But really, the real power is if you can spot something in yourself that you can work on, which is a Saturnian, great Saturnian concept, is the best way to use Saturn. And Pluto loves whole scale change, where you can literally leave something behind, abandon something that you know is not helpful to you, some habit, some whatever, drop it, right? And then you've
The
done.
ultimate transformation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is where we can, instead of just going, this energy is coming and it's just going to do whatever it's going to do, we can step into it. We can harness that.
Exactly. And then, because you could also say, unless you say, well, Andre could just be crazy. He's a crazy person. I happen to be listening to this, this live thing. This man is nuts. But if I'm not, for a second, suppose I'm not, then a certain number of people are listening to this. It's almost like you've pulled a tarot card. I'm telling you this is true. I'm not making it up. If you don't believe me, go research what Pluto means, go research what Saturn means. It's what's happening in the sky. So if typically what will happen is people will listen and some people will hear it because it'll tune into their chart. They'll realize, oh yeah, I know what that is. That's something that I can focus on. Now you're doing what the cosmos, in a sense, is, transmitting at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's grab onto this, family. Transformation, power and transformation. This is what we want out of this energy coming up. It's just intense. It's intense creation and transformation. I love it. So this is good.
Someone says, if I understand them correctly, that means we can get rid of MAGA on 10/10 when Pluto goes to the right. No, it doesn't mean that. Sorry. I wish. I wish that was true. I don't think we're getting rid of MAGA anytime soon. I think the fact that they're not in power, thank your lucky stars, no pun intended for that, and hang in there so we can defeat the Republicans next year. But this is going to a totally separate level. The U.S. chart, I'm sure some of you have heard me say this, that it's in cycles very similar to the Civil War, and that's not helpful around finding agreement. And right now there's this rage out there that is completely unreasonable. It's just part of the cycles that we're in, and it's a racial thing like it was in the Civil War, but it's not really as tangible as, when people talk about fascists and you point to when Hitler pulled his stunt in the 1930s, that country was suffering a lot. There was genuine chaos already, so he took advantage of it. But here, what Trump tries to do is weird because he tries to make the chaos, and that makes it a lot harder to get it to happen. Anyway, long answer to say, no, MAGA is not going away. No chance of that, in my opinion. That's how I.
Not for a minute. Yeah, this is I feel like, a few generations out, as it just kind of slowly gets out of the blood, so to speak, as the generations come in.
Exactly.
And Melody says, does the eclipse in Libra mean its effects will it be magnified for people who are Libras?
Yes, and you can feel it, just like you can feel. At least I can. I can always notice when the moon is full, it amps up the energy, or when it's new, and the new energy tends to be more difficult. It's more attenuated, but it nevertheless intensifies it one way or the other, and you feel it more. And so then it's usually either a really clear feeling about something where you realize, okay, this is what I can do next, and then you start doing it, or you've hit a bit of a crisis point, and then it's the idea of meditate on it and make a move in some direction. But yeah, that long answer to say definitely. People that have that sign, you could say broadly, right? So the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, are more affected by that eclipse. And the more you're toward the middle of the month, you know how January, what is it? January, October, April, and I think it's July. That's where not quite the middle, around the 12th or so, that's where the degrees are that are being affected. Okay. So those people feel it more. Now, where this can get complicated, though, is that you might not be a sun sign in those degrees, but you might have planets there. Then it'll hit those planets, right? That's why, it's always the same answer. You got to have your whole chart and track all the degrees. Right. Not that there are about 11, 12 points to remember. And most people, they have self-interest and they'll remember their own points. So, yeah.
Yeah. I did look mine up before coming on today, so I would know, because I'm one of the people who do not know. I never remember I know my sun sign, but I always forget everything else. But I actually do have my moon in Capricorn and my ascendant is Libra. So I may have I may feel some of this energy.
So in what sun sign are you?
A Leo.
So you're a Leo with Capricorn moon?
And ascendant Libra.
Mm-hmm. And what degree is the ascendant? Do you know?
Oh, I do.
And what degree is the Capricorn moon?
Oh, look at that, you guys. Those all those make a difference, huh? Okay.
Well, yeah. I can actually, if you go through all the signs, I can tell you a little bit about your chart without drawing it. I'm so into astrology that I can visualize it in my mind.
That's so cool. Okay, well, I thought that I knew. My Capricorn is 551. I don't know. I guess I don't know that.
You don't know that? Okay.
Sorry. I thought it would say it right here. Like in this thing, what it looks like right here.
Yeah, it does. Your moon is 551. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. Your moon is no. Your moon is okay. Keep it there. Your moon is 16 degrees, 5 minutes Capricorn, and your sun is 26 degrees Leo, and your scroll down to see the ascendant, or show the bottom of the screen. Ascendant is, that's really early Libra. 0 Libra 52. Okay, 052. So Libra rising. So Libra, Scorpio, Capricorn, Libra. Okay. So then the Leo sun, that's in the 11th sign, because that, by the way, I use that. That's a Vedic concept, is to use whole sign. Oh. There are a lot of complications in the Western system that I think overcomplicated and make it worse rather than better. So ascendant Libra, Leo is 11, Virgo is 12. And then, so your sun in Leo, that's a place of groups and groups of people. So it's a natural group leader, a person that often will be in the spokesperson role within a group, and they do well with that. They're able to make those connections. It's the idea of, if you want to understand how that works, the natural chart would put Aquarius there. And Aquarius is the sign of the people, the sign of friendships, of groups. Mm-hmm. In your chart, Leo is there because your chart is the opposite of a natural chart being Aries rising. Yours is Libra rising. So Leo is there. Now, Libra helps you a lot. With Leo, all things being equal, whatever that means, Leo, Leo is really strong and confident, and on the downside can get too forward and too possibly even arrogant. But Libra turns it into always a nice expression. It's the quality is what people first see in you is the Libra, and then Capricorn is having the moon there is really helpful toward being organized and having everything in order and being earthy, strategic, practical. Because Leo just thrives on self-expression and everything is. But Capricorn is saying, well, yeah, but what does this amount to?
Yeah, I can tell you, it's a challenge, Andre, because I'm also an introvert. So that Leo piece, I never.
Well, put up the phone again. See if I can see the introvert quality in there, because that may be planets in Virgo, possibly.
Okay. Let me get it. There we go.
Yes. Okay. So you have Mercury in Virgo, and you have Venus and Mars in Cancer, Jupiter in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces. So, okay. And then Uranus also in Virgo, conjunct Mercury, and Pluto in Virgo. Okay. So you have a cluster of planets in Virgo.
Oh.
And you have a planet in Pisces on the other side. So that axis, which is the 612 axis, is really populated. That's the Virgo in that house is, first of all, that really tones down your Leo, because the Virgo energy, it likes its privacy, likes solitude, likes to hang out, a person that likes their own space.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the behind the scenes energy is stronger. But the essence of it is that it's really spiritual, because the 12th is the most spiritual house. And then you've got Saturn on the other side in Pisces, which is the 12th sign, natural 12th sign. So there's this constant connection to the spiritual world. And that's automatically introverted, because for most people, you have to be unusual. There are cases where people have made unbelievable strides in spirituality through extreme extroversion, but that's way more the exception than the rule.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yours fits really well. And the Virgo gives you a lot of power to analyze as well, which that's a good quality, for doing any kind of work, where you can that together with the Capricorn, earthy, Virgo, and then Taurus too. You have some Taurus, and then you have the Cancer energy in the 10th sign. That there's a bit of a polarity in that. It's not just you're drawn to introverted. You're introverted, let's say, but you're drawn to the public and to the world as well, and to have an influence and to have people hear you put out a message because of the planets up above like that.
Yes. It's fascinating. So I'm constantly finding myself on stage with a mic, and I'm like, why am I here? But yeah, you're right. It's definitely all those. Isn't that so interesting, you guys, how your chart literally is like this little roadmap. Now,
yeah, it's amazing. If you track it, this is where, if you track it at all and you have the experience of especially a big cycle pressing on one of your planets, you have to be thick as two planks to not realize, it's here. Like one of my sisters, the way she expresses it, she says, Saturn's in the building, meaning, you can feel the effect, and you realize that it's pointing to the right house, the right, it's not made up. It's absolutely true. For example, sometimes it can be a body part. Pisces is the sign of feet. Aries is the head. There's correlations, Taurus, the throat. And you'll notice really clear events that reflect that particular body part. And so then you realize, well, that's kind of a strange coincidence that it would happen now with the planet being where you would expect it to be. And this is why astrologers have persisted for thousands of years. And in that sense, it is a science, because you're recording what happens and then you're passing it on for other astrologers to see. And then any astrologer following their own chart of people around them, politicians, it's reflected. It's coming back. You were.
now, do people come to you when they're like, okay, so they're looking at their year ahead and they're like, I want to buy a house this year. Would they come to you then and look at their chart to look
Yes.
to it would be best
Sure.
where the strongest possibility to do that would be? They would come to you for that?
Yes, they do that. They definitely do that, and many other questions, many of which are way thornier than
Financial
should I buy a house.
I
Yeah,
would imagine you get some funny
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. All right. So looking at thank
Someone
you for
says
that, though, for
someone says
it.
I come across as very Virgo. Melody says, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Andrea, you come across as Virgo. Um,
I'm not, by the way, I'm not a Virgo. So I have one planet in Virgo. But I guess it's there as one of the energies.
it's kind of like when you have kids and people they look at your kids and they see you and like, oh, you look like your dad or you look like your mom. And but when they're with their mom, they look more like their mom, and when they're with you, anyway, I don't know. Okay. Thank you for the heads up as far as kind of a little bit how to prepare for this month with eclipses and just in general, preparing for those types of energies, eclipses, full moons, anything like that. I feel like to harness the energy instead of being allowing it just kind of roll you over. Harness that. Okay. But let's take a look at what's happening in the House of Representatives right now. Did you look at any of those, any of their charts or what's coming in? Like Matt Gaetz, like he's in trouble. I saw that come in for the last couple of months. There that he my spirit team just kept showing his face and going, okay, he's going to be in the limelight soon. So do you see anything coming in for him coming in soon?
Well, what I had said about him in different times in collaborations, videos, etc., is that he's in a group with MTG and Kevin McCarthy, in that all three of them are in line with the Saturn cycle. McCarthy already paid the price. You could see it coming because he just walked himself into a big problem, and this was fairly predictable, especially because here's an example of a person, I think, mismanaging their cycle, because you may be aware that what he did is the Democrats helped him to pass the resolution, and a person with a brain, and honestly, this guy, he's just not that smart. I've called him a dimwit before. He does this thing where they help him, and then he right away goes on TV to insult them. This is not good politics. Now, if you want them to save you later, don't do that. But he did that, and so then all of them voted against him. All he needed were 10 present votes, and he'd still be speaker. So he's not super smart, but the cycle there was definitely against him. At minimum, he would have been under a lot of pressure, because even if the Democrats had saved them, it would still be very, very high pressure in there. So that's Gaetz. But then Marjorie Taylor Greene that's McCarthy. Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're also caught in that Saturn cycle extending into about February next year or so. There's continuous Saturn pressure. So I don't think either of those people will be happy with the outcome here, whatever happens in the next while. I don't know, though, if Gaetz, he already escaped he had planetary pressures back when he almost got charged by the Justice Department, but they couldn't find enough evidence. So he got away from that. If he can get to the spring, he might survive. It's possible that he'll get away with it. And then it's a question of where, and this I haven't looked at yet, whether when he goes for re-election again, whether he gets reelected. Apparently he's trying to be governor. I don't know. I mean, that would be beyond farcical if he became the governor.
Okay, that's interesting. So his chart, if he makes it to spring, so anything that could be coming down on him more likely would happen before the spring then.
Yeah, sooner is more likely to correlate with trouble. I did see one reference to on Twitter, but you can't trust anything you see on Twitter. So it said how they're going to be trying to throw him out of the house. And I thought, that'd be pretty good. But then I looked around for in mainstream news. I didn't see any reports about that, so I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but
Okay.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, I feel trouble for him. I do. That my team is telling me there's trouble coming in. So, but again,
Do you see it in the near future, or do you feel like it's
I do feel it's imminent. I do feel it's in the near future. I do feel something towards him, but I also see him being involved with a group of people as well, coming down on a group of people, him personally, and then a group as well. He'll be
well,
linked in.
so
But
8 degrees, so I can tell you the range here.
he's a piece of work. Now, as far as McCarthy, he was given a lot of chances to choose better for himself, and
Yeah.
he kept choosing wrong. He kept choosing the challenge energy. Like,
Yeah.
it could have gone differently for him.
Oh, no, definitely. I can see where there was a different path. I mean, when you think about the reality of a situation, he knew that there was no way to communicate with those maybe 10 people, whatever, 5, 10. There's a group there. And yet the rest of the group was with him for the most part. So if he already understands that and plots to pass legislation with the Democrats with the understanding that they'll keep him going, they might have said, well, yeah, I mean, if you can do something for us, we'll do something. That's what politics is. You have to cut deals. Then maybe they get mad at him, but so what? He can keep going. This way it's over. He took himself out because the Democrats don't trust him. He keeps lying to them. He insults them. Usually when you insult somebody, they're not happy. So
yeah,
don't insult them. Yeah.
Rondaroo, thank you so much. Blessings to you. Okay, so Trump, what are we seeing for? I know you get asked this all the time, but inquiring minds want to know what's going on in his chart coming up this month.
Well, you're seeing it in front of your eyes. It's been a big descent since March because Saturn entered Pisces in March. By the way, Saturn enters Pisces only if you use tropical. If you use Vedic, it doesn't. That's one of the reasons I prefer the tropical system, because the transits work so much better. Okay. So he is he's a Gemini with Moon in Sagittarius. He's got his nodes, Gemini, Sagittarius. He's got Uranus there. That area is really populated. So when Saturn entered Pisces, very unfavorable sign, because that makes a square to those planets, and immediately Alvin Bragg charged them. And then as we went into the summer, then he was charged more times. In August was a particularly bad month. There was a separate thing. There was a progression that changed. And I remember saying it early in the year, August is going to be a especially bad month. There he got 2 big indictments. So, and now he's in another case. This is the 5th big one, because this is his money, the thing in New York and all that. And right now, remember we said the eclipse, that eclipse is very unfavorable because he's got really important planets in a vulnerable spot, and the eclipse is hitting them. And he's in the middle of something where it's hard to win, because for one thing, the judge already said you're guilty. You're such a crook. There's not even any need to analyze this. You've defrauded the government, right? Now it's only about the punishment. And so it's not going to go well. It's just not going to go well. Where the Pluto station is, remember we said there's a Pluto station this month, Saturn station next month. Neither of those is helpful to him. Right. So it's in decline. And then if you talk about next year, my phrase lately has been, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. Plain and simple, including, and probably most dangerously, he's got serious health threats. People go on about Biden's supposed lack of cognitive. This is such BS. Biden is, compared to Trump, is fine. Trump is at risk of something going badly wrong sometime between now and the next election. This is why I think there are so many psychic readers that keep saying, I don't see this guy being on the
Yeah.
ticket, or like, what's going on here? One person said, I see him winning, but not showing up. Well, why not? I can think of reasons. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't want to laugh. Although when it comes to him, I'm sorry. He's one of the most dangerous, psychotic, perverted individuals I've ever seen. He's really, really malevolent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As bad as it gets. Bottom of the barrel, and dig another 10 feet underneath.
Yeah. It's almost like he just doesn't have the capability to make a kind decision at all.
No.
Outside of himself. It's remarkable, actually. But in a bad way. Yeah, I'm one of those readers who I just didn't see him on the ticket, or not. I don't see him there. But I don't have why or exactly when, but I just don't see him on the ticket.
Well, it's a distinct possibility. It could be that. I mean, it doesn't have to be health. I mean, keep in mind that when you have 91 felony counts, like one pundit that I've heard explain it, he says, there is such a thing as gravity, and it will come back. I mean, it's always there, and people are always going on about law and order being out to lunch in this country. No, it's not. They just work at a certain speed. But my advice to anyone is, don't get charged by the feds. It's a really bad plan, because when they charge you, they usually have the goods. So bad idea, to have that happen. And by the way, it reflects, his chart is quite kind of has this feeling of a Greek tragedy, or a kind of, when you do archetypes, there's this planet that was discovered in 2005, which is really connected to the rise of women into power. It's why the Me Too movement evolves out of that, why women are now being pushed back in their rights, but that's not going to last, because there's no way you can keep that down. And in Trump's chart, it is just wired to come after him. And it's a really karmic thing, because he's been so awful to women for so long.
And so all these women are
I mean, look at all the, not only women of color, white women, white judges, prosecutors. I mean, it's just a slew of this, and this will continue. And the hard part for him is that this particular planet, it turns out, it's way out there. It's like twice as far as Pluto. Instead of being a 250-year orbit, it takes 550 years, but it has this really elliptical orbit. So where it is right now, it's glacially slow. It's just inching along. So God help you if it lands in the wrong place, because it's going to sit and sit and sit. He doesn't lose the side of this planet till 2032 or 3.
Right.
It's hosed around this particular topic. So you're only seeing the beginning of the onslaught. E. Jean Carroll is part of it. And he's another person, though, that when you present him with something, he complicates it. So the E. Jean Carroll, he got convicted, then now he's going to owe more money. The judge made a statement to, nationally, he said, no, listen, the conclusion was that you are a rapist. I mean, that's as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you lost. You're officially accused of that. So the man, he says he's going to go on the stand. If he goes on the stand, it'll be like watching a comedy show, because he doesn't know how to, he doesn't know how to do it.
No,
he says too much, Yeah.
He can't keep his mouth closed, and he truly believes. Well, I don't know if he truly believes what comes out of his mouth, but he certainly says it all.
He says it. That's it. That's Trump. The book. There's a movie that's actually quite good. It's called She Said. It has to do with the Harvey Weinstein Me Too thing. I think the book about Trump should be He Says, and just put dots, because that's what it is. He just talks. The man just blathers on and expects you to buy into this, constructed vision of reality that comes out of his wherever. That's what he does. Yeah.
Comes out of his wherever. Peggy, thank you so much. Blessings to you. Okay. Everybody's talking about that Pelosi, and they asked her, the interim Speaker of the House asked her to vacate her office for him. Wanted her out by today, and she said no. but she said she just kind of said no. But everybody's asking about Pelosi. Everybody's asking about the speaker. Do you have any inclination with any of these things?
Yeah, I'm looking at Pelosi. Pelosi's chart is interesting in that there's no official time for her for the time of birth, but you can reconstruct it based on some things that are known about someone that was related to her that was in Congress. I forget the story, but I know I put it together. So she's Leo rising almost certainly, and she's an Aries. But what's happening to her is that right now in the cycles, the cycle of Uranus is not very favorable because it's transiting, triggering her planets, and connected to when you talk about something like an office somewhere, it has a quality of a home base type of thing, and that's the planet being challenged, which was also not helpful to her. There, I admit that I was too positive about her chart. Her winning, keeping the speakership. She didn't, and that's because she has the moon in Scorpio at 18 degrees, Venus at 20 degrees Taurus. That's where Uranus is transiting, and it's trying to upset the apple cart. And one of the things with Uranus is it tries to, separate you from something. And it may be that this guy that has replaced McCarthy, maybe the law is on his side. I don't know. I haven't researched it enough to say. But it's very possible that she may have to get a different space in the Congress.
Well, according to her chart, it does sound like if it talks about that space, and that's what's being challenged right now, is that it's her office. And
if I had to bet, I'd say that she'll probably have to go somewhere else in the building. That's a minor thing. That's not nearly as bad.
And that's what she said. This is minor. This is, but the way it's being done is what irritated her, right?
Of course.
So, and she's like, I'm at Diane's funeral right now. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. I'm at Diane's funeral, grieving. I'm not moving my office right now.
Well, and by the way, she is she's an Aries, but she has four planets in Taurus plus the midheaven and the zenith. It's a really populated area, and Jupiter is in Taurus and will also stay there till next May. This period is really good for her. She's something about her public profile will be raised. This often happens when these brilliant Republicans make a move, which is nothing other than irritant. They raise the profile of the person, and then the person comes more into the foreground. So don't expect Pelosi to disappear. And
she's not going. And she's running again, and she will. I saw her winning, so I do feel very positive about that. But that Taurus, I wouldn't go against that.
No.
That much in her chart.
Well, the thing is with her, the Taurus, this is back to the earth fire thing. So when you're an Aries is fire like Leo, but if you add Taurus energy, it gets really practical. She was always known for being really, really good at counting votes. She knew what she could count on, no pun intended. She knew the situation, something that Kevin McCarthy obviously doesn't understand, because he can't keep the herd in order, which is the job. It's literally like that. So
that was a joke to begin with. I can't even believe he was in there that long, but
it's true.
Okay, so is there anything that we should be aware of that we haven't talked about yet? That Karen says the temporary speaker is McHenry, and he was born October 22nd, 1975. Oh, he's a baby.
Is that right? Are you sure? He looks older. He looks older.
He looks older than 1975.
What's his first name? Do you know?
McHenry. I'll look it up. McHenry. I know one of our family will tell us, and he's 47.
Okay. Well, then he's about to turn 48. Yeah, because that would be 2023. So Let's see what's going on.
Someone says Richard, maybe? Richard.
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 Well, I don't know that. My understanding is that he's not considered a favorite to replace McCarthy, and that's probably right because, well, it's a bit of a mix. Like he may have his moon in Taurus, but he could also have it in Gemini, depending what time of birth he has. He might be one or the other. But the main thing is he is under Pluto, this station right now. His sun, this is an example of degrees. So his sun is 28 to 29 Libra. It's very late in the Libra sign. So Pluto is directly squaring that in October. I don't know if I would think that would be the best thing to run on. But he might be saved by something in his birth time that gives him a really good Jupiter or something, in which case it could work to propel him to the speakership. But as it is, Pluto square, he's dealing with a really dark situation, which is what it is. He's trying to, I don't know, keep order in a place where it's like a zoo.
Yeah, my sense is that he's interim. My sense is it is temporary for him.
Yeah, that's probably that'd be my best guess of that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. And Yelling Man says that MAGA wants Trump to be the speaker.
Yeah, sure. I would like that actually. The thing with Trump is now the more public he gets, he thinks it's helping him. It's helping him with his base, but it's hurting him with the overall electorate because it's so outrageous. So if he became speaker, it would be bad for him and probably bad for the party. I don't think he'll do it though, because how does he go from there to wanting to be president?
Right. I don't think.
Works.
Yeah, I don't think that would be, unless it's part of their takeover plan of some sort.
Yeah. Well, how would that work though? What kind of takeover plan do you engineer? You have to get the votes in the end.
Right. That's true. But they just think they can just come in with guns and take over. So I don't know.
Well, even that, think about that. Suppose you're going to come in with guns. Where are you going to go?
Right. That's what I thought. What's the end plan? I remember January 6th sitting there going, what's their end plan here?
Where are you going? No, I mean, seriously, do you want to attack the Capitol? That probably won't work this time. What do you want to attack an FBI building? People get killed when they do that. It's a pretty big lift, which, by the way, if you think about it, Trump has been trying to get his supporters to show up and demonstrate. They're not doing it. Why? Because their other friends are in jail. So, they're thinking, that's not a bad idea. I mean, that's not a good idea.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question, Andre. And I'm sorry, I'm so naive in regards to astrology and how it works. I try. It's a different language for me. And so, but can you look at so have you heard of this Project 2025? This Christian
no, that I have not heard. Tell me the essence of it, and I'll see if I can intuit it.
It's the Christian Nationalist. It's a Project 2025. The whole group of them, and the family will write it out for me. Coming together to overtake the government, basically wanting to get in there with their agenda and fascist agenda, and it's a real thing. Bannon, Rose Blue says it's fascist bullshit. Okay. Karen says Project 2025 is Steve Bannon's special to eliminate the federal government. So it's like this, and 20. And so they literally have, this has been planned out, and they've put people in place to make this whole thing happen. And you can kind of see bits and pieces of it happening around all the states, taking people's rights away and doing all that. That's all part of it. But it's and
you want to know where it fits in.
Ness says here's a news article about it. It's part of the Heritage Foundation. So Project 2025 Foundation, part of the Heritage Foundation Christian nationalism thing. So if you were looking at the Christian nationalism thing, just that alone, is there a way to kind of astrology that? Or am I
Yes.
making? Oh, there
No,
is. No,
there
I'm
is,
not
yeah.
making that up.
Because okay, there you go to the bigger patterns that reflect the U.S. chart. The U.S. As a country was born in July 4th, 1776, and there's a chart based on when the public became aware of it. They were celebrating. It seems to be the chart that most vibes with what happens, and even if you took the day, like suppose now you said, well, I don't know what the time was. You do know the day, and based on that, those planets, time or not, are in the same place regardless. So then you look at cycles beyond that, and the current situation right now has a lot of echoes to the Civil War and considerable echoes to the Second World War period of the late 1930s and into the 1940s. So if you think about what happened in those periods, is they're more turbulent, but in each case, the majority won the battle. In present day, there's a minority of people that want to do things that are crazy and they're scaring everybody. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean they can implement it. And when you say, okay, I'm going to take your rights away, how are you going to do that? You have to go through the system, unless you decide, okay, we're going to take your rights away with guns and, but who are you going to attack?
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
understand this, how this works, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
the worst idea I can think of is if you actually seriously imagine that you said, okay, I'm going to be in the Trump army and there are 20,000 of us. Be careful, because the US army is bigger than that. If things really get out of control, they'll have to take you down. And it won't be pretty. It'll be really bad. It's why I think these Trumpers now are very reluctant to show up with, anything to make noise. They show up wearing bee suits so you can't see their face. They're scared now because the last attempt didn't work. And now going into this election, there's an actual real government in power with an actual, genuine, valid legal system, law enforcement, and so forth. So it is much harder. Trump nearly did it because he was running the government. So he was almost able to convince some people to become as corrupted as he is to do all these awful things. But luckily, we're finding out there are more better people than worse people for the most part. They said no, even though they're Republicans. So, and this is the same thing, Christian nationalism. How do you even implement that? First of all, you have to get elected, which I am very skeptical. And if you tell me, no, they don't get elected, but they still implement it. How? How do they do that? Doesn't make sense.
Dark money is how
Dark
they do
money.
it.
Yeah, no, but even then, I mean, what exactly would you do? Like, say you had a lot of money, right? And you want to implement, like, how? You have to pass laws. People still go to school, they go to work. What exactly does this mean?
So and so it's kind of like a poison that spreads slowly, because you can see it happening in some of the states. So that brings me to my next question. Does each state have a different astrological timing to them?
They can, although that is such a big project. Like I remember doing well, no, I'll tell you why.
Andre,
I
you're
remember
not
doing
going to
this.
do that for us right now?
Well, I remember doing this thing on Florida at one point. There was this building that collapsed. It just all of a sudden it fell to the ground. And I thought, wow, that's it. I know the planet Uranus, a sudden shocking. So I thought, I wonder if there's a chart like that. So I went looking for charts of that city. I forget how I did it, but I found a really good chart, good correlations. But if you start doing every state, first of all, how do you get an actual accurate chart? It's a big project, and you can just, in a sense, do it by red states, blue states, and you pretty much know that the red states are on one wavelength and the blue states are on the other, right? And if you're thinking they're going to implement some insane religious cult thing,
Well, they
it's
have
likely to be
been. They have
fine,
been.
but that's likely to be a red state, not a blue state.
Right.
And
So,
and these people that say, I'll repeat this because this I think is worth repeating. And now that I heard Gavin Newsom say it on Fox, and I thought it was a bit too forward, but I thought, yeah, you're finally telling the truth. He told Hannity, who do you think pays all the bills? It's It's not the red states, it's the blue states. So where are you guys going to go to? You're going to get divorced? Who's going to pay your bills? So, all this talk of we're going to take over and all this. Meanwhile, the same people that are complaining are taking all the money from the federal government, right? Medicaid, Social Security. Where do you think that comes from? Where are you going to go? So I'm deeply skeptical. And not only that, the change, if you remember what happened in the Second World War, that was awful, of course, but what happened in the Civil War? A war was fought, and then things settled down, and they didn't settle down, to allow them to continue to do slavery, although they kept it going much too long. That's my main worry, is that we have to do another thing where, like Reconstruction, where we get a really close election and then we compromise. I hope not. I'm pretty sure it won't be like that, because it's a different era, more communication and so forth. So, but the idea that we're going to be taken prisoner by, religious cults or fascists, I'm deeply skeptical, because the other thing is this, right? When you look for fascism, what's the planet location? Pluto and Capricorn, 2008 to 2025. That's the period when you're most vulnerable to fascism. After that, Pluto and Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of the people, does not work well with fascism. So all throughout the world, fascists will tend to suffer. And you notice that they've been declining, even though there are still 3 or 4, you would say, Trump, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and now to some extent, Netanyahu in Israel is kind of he's doing a bit of a fascist maneuver as well in a democracy. But by and large, it's been diminishing, right? The territory is getting less fertile for that. So I would not be thinking that way. I would not be imagining total disaster. The key thing for people to focus on is just vote. We're in this jam because a lot of Democrats don't vote. They talk a lot and then they don't show up. And so then that's bad.
Well, I just have to say that it feels really good that yes, all these little things there are scary, and we're supposed to go, oh, you know what? That's just not right. It's not right. Dictators aren't right. Taking our rights away is not right. And we're supposed to say, yeah, that's not right, but not sit in the energy of fear in regards to it.
Yeah, and he's asking if the USA is in a Saturn return. No, the USA right now, Saturn is on the opposite side of where the birth of the country. Saturn in the USA chart is in Libra, and right now Saturn is in Pisces, going to go into Aries next. So it's on the whole other end. Saturn was returning during the Civil War, which probably added to the danger of that situation more so than now. But even so, right now, it is pretty dicey going into the post-election period, which basically just says Democrats win, the country's still unhappy because they're not accepting it. They don't like losing. These people are the sorest losers. Instead of changing their ways, they keep insisting. We want to enslave women. We want to make you all religious, whatever. People don't like that anymore. I'm sorry. The ship sailed. It left. You can't do that.
Sailed.
Yeah, no.
I like that, Andre. I just the energy that you bring behind this, it feels so good, and hopefully makes a lot of us feel so much better. Because yes, you're right. That ship has sailed. They may keep trying to bring that chapter forward, but we've already read that chapter. We're way past it, and it's not going to happen again. So we need to stay there. And we are already at an hour, and I had so much fun.
It flies.
Thank you. It did. Thank you for coming on and talking to the family here today.
No, it's a pleasure.
And with all the fun information and preparing for October, guys. So again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. And all right, family, you heard it here. Be empowered.
By the way, one final thing. The thing about that is, instead of fear, when you feel, it's going to sound strange to you, but it actually makes sense. Cast light. Do light meditations. Cast light on all the Republicans, on Trump, because don't think that if I'm casting light on the guy, it's going to help him to succeed. It's going to help the energy to move more quickly where it needs to go. It basically will accelerate the karma. It's sort of the logic that if you are, sometimes what happens, with a relationship, it's not working well, a friend or something's gone wrong, and you cast light on it, and then the person leaves. Well, that's the message. Don't fight it, because that's what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the way it works. And I think in this case, it works so much better if all Democrats focus that way and stay on track, because that'll also make it a lot more likely that you will vote. You will encourage other people to vote. We need everyone to be ultra focused and to show up.
Yes, and I mean, I got the full chills on that, Andre. You guys, and the family here knows. We talk about that all the time, about stepping into that light, bringing light, and coming from that heart space and sending that light. And yeah, it doesn't like you said, it's not like gonna make it positive, like, oh well, if we send light to Trump, he's gonna win. No, we're just raising the vibration, guys, and
Exactly.
where it needs to be all together. We're all connected. So
Exactly.
yeah.
That's it.
So yeah, let's do that. I like it. So family, we love you. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you all again. I'll see you all Friday with on Newsflash Friday night with Kim, Intuitive View this Friday. And Andre, do you have anything that you want to share that they need to come on your channel and see?
No, if you go on my channel, there's a lot of stuff there. Just open something
Well,
and
just go to Andre's channel.
you'll run into a controversy within seconds. Just click on anything and you'll be
I love it. All right, guys. So
Bye, everyone.
We'll see you all later. Love you.